welcome up Kapil Nagpal, head of the U.S. Public Sector at Nagarro, and my biggest sponsor of Tech Tables. Thank you for coming on, Kapil. All right, so Kapil, why don't you give a little bit of an intro for those who don't know about Nagarro or yourself?
Sure. Nagarro is an IT services company. We do a lot of the core IT services, app dev, data analytics, support, and so on. I'm on my 20th year at the company. I started out when it was a small 20 people startup. We are going on to our 11,000 employees this year, and we recently went public. So it's been an awesome journey for me personally, and of course for the company as well.
Yeah, that's great. Now, you grew the U.S. public sector team from 20 to, what were you telling me before, 300 plus. Now, any leader that knows that kind of growth, it only comes from a dream, Kapil. And I know, I'm going with Ted Lasso. He says it smells like potential. Okay, so as a high school basketball coach who gives inspiring pregame, halftime, postgame talks, I feel like Ted Lasso and I really are kindred spirits. This is why he's really coming out today. How did you smell the potential in the public sector?
So for us as a team, it was sort of happened, started by accident. So what happened is about 10 years back, and I'm based out of the New York office. So what happened about 10 years back is somebody we knew and had worked with in the commercial space, they moved and took a job at one of the New York City agencies. So, they reached out to us and they said, I have this small engagement. I think you guys would really do this excellently, and I want to engage you. So actually, I personally wasn't very sure. I was a bit skeptical. I felt that, as a company, we've always been, I would say, focused on the digital product engineering, more cutting-edge technologies. And, I just felt maybe it's very archaic in terms of the technologies that they may be using. Maybe our employees won't enjoy it as much. So I wasn't too sure, but we started that. That was really small engagement. But once we started to work with some of the city agencies, I think that really resonated well with us. We started to really understand the work they were doing, the mission, the way they engage. And then purely from a technology standpoint also, it was very similar to which was a surprise to me personally, but just to see the type of technologies and the mindset in that space to be very similar to how we would think as a technology company, I think that was great. And then that really drove my interest. And then about 3 years back, as we were evolving as an organization, there were some changes. And I really felt that this is something I wanted to do. So I reached out to our CEO and said, hey, I really want to lead this business segment within the organization. And we set this up and then, started to build it out.
And how did that kind of initial dream, like you're going to the CEO of the company, you obviously have this dream. It's like either in the shower or on a walk where you're like, I'm going to make this pitch that the public sector is going to be an amazing place to go. Like, what were you thinking in your head?
Yeah, I think some of the folks that were working closely with the city at that time, we always knew that there's a lot of potential. A company like us can add a lot of value. And we are a global organization, right, spread across the US, Europe, whatever. So we could see that, sitting in New York and engaging with some of our clients there. But not everybody in the organization was able to see that. So I still remember I would say 2 to 3 years, we have this management meet, and it changes location. We had one in 2017. This was in Goa, which is a coastal town in India. And everybody's supposed to present anything at all, right, whatever they like, for about 10 minutes. And it can truly be anything, right? So it could be related to business, but it could be about your personal experiences, whatever. So I talked about how a company like us can really impact the public sector and the government space, and that's where conversation started. And then that was 2017, maybe March, April, and then 2018 is when we sort of formally set this up as a vertical within the organization, 2018 spring.
That's great. Now, can you walk us through a few examples of the type of work that your team is doing in the public sector? And what use cases are you seeing that are most popular among the CIOs you're working with?
Yeah, to Nadia's point earlier, right, a lot of the work still that is happening and needs to happen is around just reducing paper, automating processes, just, I would say, fundamental technology-related work that we need to elevate the citizen experience, right? Like Nadia said again, when citizens engage with the government today, they are just so used to these millions of apps that provide a great customer experience. How, as government, can we replicate that, right? So a lot of the work still is, again, using the cliche term digital transformation, but a lot of work needs to happen still in just getting basic business processes online, reducing paper, automating things, pushing information to citizens rather than they having to call somebody and wait for 30 minutes and get an answer. How can we push that information? Yesterday, I was chatting with the CIO at the Department of Education, and the topic was around with the school reopening after 18 months in New York City. They just started September 13th. There's a driver shortage across the US, in terms of bus drivers. Buses are late, there could be, of course, accidents and things like that. Today, as a parent, I still have to call a help desk and find out where the bus is, right? Why can't we push that information through a text message, through even Alexa or Google notification to the parents, right? So there's a lot of stuff like this that needs to happen to really make it engaging, like a citizen experience.
Yeah, and what do you think is like the thing that makes the citizen experience like the best? What is it about that? Because I hear citizen experience a lot, but what really hammers home a really great citizen experience?
I think it's fairly fundamental. We have to, when we are building applications, or whether it's web applications, mobile applications, voice applications, chatbot experiences, whatever, right? We have to match up to the best experiences out there. So when you think of a Google or a Facebook or a Twitter experience or all of the consumer websites out there, how can if I have to apply for a building permit, or if I have to get the status of my service ticket in the system, how can that be similar to how my experience is across other applications I use? So technology is there. I think it's just the mindset, and that how can we leverage that technology to enable these services?
Yeah, I love that about the mindset and actually including the citizens into the user experience. Now, can you tell us where like the biggest opportunity in the public sector is in 2022 as we're heading in there?
Yeah, I think 2022 is going to be interesting because we are sort of, hopefully, again, fingers crossed, but moving into a post-pandemic sort of a world, right? So to Patty's point earlier, right, in terms of the digitization, is that going to slow down a little bit? Is that going to keep up the same pace that we have seen over the last 18 months? What is that direction going to be? So I think the biggest opportunity is to keep the momentum that we all have sort of worked together to build, right? And keep this momentum so that we can keep pushing the boundaries in terms of what technology can do to make government services better, more human-centric, more engaging, and more meaningful. So the biggest opportunity in 2022 is to not to lose the momentum, I believe, and just keep pushing the boundaries.
Yeah, and not losing the momentum. I really like what Nadia said about how important it is to bring that entrepreneurial mindset, which I think is kind of keep pushing the boundary line, which I really love on the entrepreneurial side, to that human-centric IT org. And so tell us a little bit more about how you implement that across your team and with your clients at Nagarro.
Sure. Thankfully, entrepreneurship is something that comes naturally to us as a company, and in a way, naturally to me. I've just been there so long. Even the way the org is structured, right? Our CEO doesn't use Chief Executive Officer. He says, Chief Entrepreneurial Officer in the organization. So the culture is truly designed to empower people to be entrepreneurs. Like even this public sector example, right? Like for me to be able to walk up and say, okay, this is something that we need to build, and then be able to quickly start on that. So I think it's the same culture that we follow within the team. We understand the tech landscape a bit, right? We understand broadly what the priorities are. And then people within my team are sort of free to choose, okay, somebody says, okay, I feel that I want to pick up this focus area and I want to go and sort of run with it. And that's absolutely, we support that. In fact, we encourage that type of a thinking. So that has really helped us grow. And for us, again, we started off in the New York region, so that's our home base. But for us, working across the US with states like Texas, which is, in my opinion, one of the most progressive states in terms of technology, that's really a big thing.
Now, are you just saying that because Mandy's here? Come on.
I was chatting with Mandy a few weeks back, and I said this not because she's here and not because we were on the call that other time, but just the experience. Our journey to engage with Texas started last year as we were exploring what are the other states or jurisdictions we want to engage with. Texas name came up, and all of our interactions, right, with whether it's the procurement office or the people in Texas, it just felt very natural in terms of Everybody was very responsive, very supportive. We would ask a query and we would get a response back in minutes. So it just felt that, yeah, this is the type of jurisdiction or the types of agency we want to work with, because we are very agile as a company. We enjoy working with in a fast-paced environment. So that's what we felt.
Yeah, people ask me, they're like, hey, Joe, why do you like Texas so much? I was like, well, it's open, really. I live in California, it's open. And the people are really nice. I mean, the people in Texas are really nice. Not that I'm knocking on California, but I mean, Ted Ross, he's fantastic, CIO in LA. But yeah, the people in Texas are amazing. So give us 2, 3 major lessons that you've learned leading the public sector team. I mean, you got 20 years experience. I'm like 20 years old. No, I'm kidding. I'm not 20. Come on.
Yeah, I think for me personally, it's been a great journey. First of all, understanding this ecosystem, that has just been great to be able to work. Like some of the work, you asked a question around some of the work we are doing, right? Like one of the projects we are doing is supporting the Back to School initiative for the Department of Education in the city. And September 13th is, this week is when the school started, and meaningful to, do, I mean, it's IT work, but again, how can we enable kids to succeed in their journey, right, the learning journey? How can we provide the technology backbone to do that? So for me, being able to contribute, I think that has been one of the big wins or just personally satisfying experiences. I think I have also personally evolved as a leader in terms of my leadership skills. Before this role, I was working in a more of a management consulting kind of a mindset and role. So I used to work in much smaller teams and used to focus more on the consulting side of the business. So those were people that I had known for 5, 10 years. And so it was much personally for me, just easier to work with them. And it was a small group and we are always working together. But building out the team, and especially at the scale that we have done over the past 3 years, has also taught me a lot of lessons in leadership and how to build a team. A lot of the folks that are coming into the team are new to the organization, right? How do we get the culture of the organization spread across the team? How do we give the new employees the best onboarding experience possible that they can get? So, and then of course, like you said, earlier we talked about entrepreneurship. How do we empower and give opportunities to the team to sort of express themselves? So that's been a great, personally for me, very satisfying. I feel that I've evolved as a leader, and I really, truly feel that it's been possible because of the work that we have been doing with the public sector.
Yeah, and what's your number one leadership lesson?
I always feel that perseverance and attitude is the most important trait in an individual. Skills we can learn any skills, and I always use this example, right, from the movie Matrix, when there's this battle going on, and Neo, somebody asks him, do you know how to fly a helicopter? And he says, not yet, and then they load this helicopter module in his brain in about 10 seconds. So the way, the pace at which technology is changing, you can load any skill, you can gain any skill, but you have to have the attitude, and you have to just be committed and passionate about what you do. So to me, that is what has helped me, I feel, in my journey at Nagarro and working with our clients. And to me, that's number one always. Just keep at it, have the right attitude, and focus on delivering.
Yeah, attitude, perseverance, those are fantastic. Also, 10 seconds to learn how to fly, is that helicopter? Is that helicopter? Yeah. Is that like YouTube no ads in 10 seconds? Like that's how you could get that downloaded? Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on Tech Tables, Kapil. I'm super excited to have you on here. Feel free to connect. And Kapil, will you be hanging out at the W afterwards?
Absolutely.
Awesome. I love it. Thank you for coming on Tech Tables and supporting. Appreciate it.
Thank you.